SMCI is in a major spot here, guys, breaking that 44.23 support level, trending down to that 43.24, which is back within this general chop range of 40.70 and 44.23. So sellers continue to stay in control after that big gap down. Should we soon expect a bounce, or are sellers going to continue to plummet SMCI? All right, guys, from a weekly standpoint, we have that major resistance that we'd like to cover on the channel, stemming at that 122.90, that big rally upwards, and we broke out of that very, very nicely in a clean ascending profile, as we see. And after that big gap down, we do see some continuation, bring us right around where we had that very nice momentum to the upside, breaking that long-term resistance. And we do see sellers stay in control after that movement. So on the weekly standpoint, this still is overall around half of a movement to the downside, half of a pullback, comparative to this nice move to the upside, but still descending within this manner, right? We did descend a lot after we kind of fully retraced that movement to the upside of 122.90, came all the way back down to the floor, found that nice ascending profile, tried to get a nice move up, couldn't, and then we kind of had a nicer, more healthy ascending profile out of that zone. But with bad earnings, guys, we do have a drastic move to the downside and do look like we are continuing of this past week. We're going to analyze the daily to see if we should be continuing or if we should find a bounce here. All right, guys, on the daily chart, today marks the day that we break that 44.23 as support. We were hoping that it might hold up here, given that we were chopping around for a bit. It was kind of a big pathway for this, continue move to the upside. We see a nice green white bar breaking above that zone after kind of being in a resistance type of zone and still trying to break that long-term resistance. So that really kind of propels the buyers up past that long-term resistance, and the shorter term one leads us to a stair-step like pattern, right? We get that big move to the upside, we kind of chop around, nice move to the upside, chop around, sellers trying to make their move, and then a continued move to the upside. So it was a very prominent point, and now since that bad earnings and continuation, we're right back at that point, guys. Today with a pretty much mirroring red bar to the downside, being a very prominent chop zone here. Didn't like to chop a lot in this zone, right? As you can see, very much an exit pathway, but after we did have to find a little bit of a change in price action to break this long-term resistance, that's where we see a lot of chop, price really building that energy for a movement to the upside. And that's what we get. We get that and some continuation, but the fact that we're back in this zone, guys, what you really want to watch for the buyers here is a bounce off that 40.71, that being the support level of this general chop range as we kind of hold tighter here. In the past, guys, this entire big resistance, we have a lot of volatility, big moves to the upside, big moves to the downside. This is where price action changes, so we can find a movement outside of this long-term resistance. That's where you get that nice move up, and now we've gotten that correction back down to the downside, a bit of a pullback here, guys. So you want to look out for that 40.71 to hold up as strong support, possibly chopping around a bit here before moving to the upside, claiming that 44.23 as support once more, and continuing our rally up. This could be kind of the bottom of the pullback at that 40.71. That definitely wouldn't surprise me. Given that the most recent time that we were around that level, we were very strong at that support level, and that really kind of propelled buyers to that big move to 62.32. So if we pulled all the way back to 40.71, buyers find some steam here, that would still be an overall nice uptrend for the buyers. Fundamentals and earnings caused this big gap down, so always keep an eye on that. But from a technical analysis perspective, if we did find that bounce at 40.71, we would be in pretty good shape here for the buyers. If we do kind of break that zone, break that 40.71, could be continuing to see a pretty volatile move to the downside, as the stock is no stranger to these big moves up and down. Prime example right here, we kind of gap down around $11 in price, and then we continue down, gapping an extra around $20 in price before seeing a sharp move up. So a volatile kind of state is what we could be finding the stock in. If we can't find a recovery around that 40.71, we have had that pretty bad gap down, and sellers have kept us in a pretty bad descending motion here, and today just kind of puts a cherry on top with the sellers, breaking us under that 44.23, that being the past resistance level after we broke out of that range. If buyers can find a bounce here, you would be looking for that continuation upwards, claiming that 44.23 as strong support once more, claiming back within the zone of 46 and 50, and then starting to trend up and fill this gap right here, guys. Lots of things going on. I feel like this is a very crucial spot for either the sellers or buyers to gain that momentum. Right now, the sellers are in that ultimate control, stemming from fundamentals. But if that one strong support can hold up once more, guys, and we kind of find a doubling of formations, right? This being a very obvious formation here, if we kind of bounce there and chopped around for a bit, finding a double bottom of formations and continue to the upside, starting to fill this gap here, I think we would be looking good and in the clear. It would be kind of normal price action after a bad earnings report, a little bit of a continuation to the downside, but ultimately a strong stock finding that bottom quicker than sellers can really continue to have that momentum in their hands and continue to plummet the stock. That would be a good sign, and that's exactly what buyers need to see here in this instance. If we cannot get that zone kind of claimed as support once more, guys, I wouldn't be liking what I'm seeing if that 4071 cannot hold up as support. So very crucial spot we're in right now, I think, for SMCI. And turning to the hourly, guys, we see that drastic gap down and continuation. We try to hold that 44.23, that being the past resistance zone. Try to hold it for a bit, but then sellers do find that move today, pushing us under that zone. So we're either going to see a quick correction here the next trading day, getting right back above that, or we're going to see that hypothesis of hitting that 4071, see if we can hold that level. If we can't, really not looking good for the buyers here. If we can, and we can trend up in a very healthy manner, reclaim this as support, trend upwards once again, claim that 47 to 46 level as support, then we would be looking very good here. That definitely could be looking like the bottom of the pullback. So next few days of price action is crucial for SMCI, and our prediction is that if we can't get a quick recovery, is that we do trend to that 4071. We try to hold that as support. If we can hold that as support, that is the bottom of the pullback. But if, it's looking a little shaky there, and if we cannot hold that level, not looking great for the stock. I think we are headed for more downside if that is the case. All right, guys, so let me know your price predictions in the comments below for SMCI. We're in a very interesting spot here. I think that we definitely have to claim that 4071 as support if we start to trend towards that level. And if we don't, I think that the sellers are really in a good spot here to continue this pullback much further downwards. But given how strong SMCI was as a stock and breaking a very prominent resistance zone, I think that it's more likely that we do find support sooner than later. And we still do remain long-term bullish on the stock, as long as buyers can really step in here and reverse this pullback. So if you guys want to see more SMCI content, make sure to like and subscribe. Be patient with this one, guys. The next few days, 2 weeks will be very crucial to see where we're at. And as always, trade smart. I will see you all in the next one.